Common sense buffs. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without some dope content to react to. You know, if it's a Thursday, you know we're talking a roster update. And this is my post spring ball 2026 offensive depth chart update. Guys, one of the things that got me in trouble in 2025, I don't know if you're willing to admit this, was that I went potential over production. Moving forward as I go through these roster updates, we're going to be focused primarily on production and the guys who are putting it on tape. All right. Now, from the thumbnail, you guys know I really think highly of some players on this offensive line, and one in particular that I'm going to lean into. But let's start in the trenches at left tackle, Leon Bell. Big shoes to fill, replacing Jordan Seaton, protecting Julian Lewis's blind side, and he has been as advertised. Lots of experience coming out of Cal, making the transfer. I think he's only going to get better as the off season wears on, as this offensive line becomes more familiar with Brennan Marion's offense. Leon Bell is going to play a major role. I like the way he looked in the spring game. I think he's just going to continue to develop with Coach Gunner and the rest of the offensive line coaches who are coaching up this team. I had been giving him gold stars leading into this particular roster update, but I'm going to withhold it now. One of my gold stars is going to go to none other than Yahya. Hold on, let me update how I spell this man's name and make it right. Yahya Attia are, in my opinion, our starting left guard here. I think he was early in the roster here for me, behind Chauncey Gooden. I know Chauncey Gooden was on IR for a little bit, but Yahya Attia now has worked his way, and I think even coming into this season was probably going to get the nod at left guard. But there is a real battle going on with Chauncey Gooden, because Chauncey Gooden is a road grader. Where I think Yahya might have the advantage in this battle is because he is both a good run blocker but also solid in pass blocking, which for the most part in 2025, I thought that line did pretty well and was much improved from 2024. In fact, Yahya Attia, I believe against West Virginia in week 11, was PFF's left guard of the week in the Big 12. I think he's going to continue to build on that late season momentum. And you know he's going to be a leader in this room, and he has the personality for it. And I absolutely love how he works with the media and is able to communicate and articulate himself when he gets the opportunity to do so. Next to him is Demetrius Hunter. And in my opinion, he's probably our most proven and productive. Therefore, I could put this word next to him, probably our best offensive lineman. He's in total control of that offensive line, directing them and making sure that they are lined up and know what's coming from the defense. So I really like that combination of Leon Bell, Yahya Attia, and Demetrius Hunter. Next to him is Jose Soto, who I give the nod because of his experience and knowledge coming over from Sacramento State, along with Brennan Marion, and really understanding that go and getting off to a fast start. But man, green in my depth chart stands for making moves. And this is a guy I am really, really starting to like. He is mean as all get out. I mean, the people in the Southwest might say mean as a rattlesnake, right? Javon McFadden. I'm telling you right now, there are a couple of guys that I'm talking about, highly touted freshmen on the defensive side of the ball that I'm speaking very highly of. Keep your eyes on 71. Javon McFadden, the transfer out of Ohio State. He just has the personality. I would describe it as that Trent Williams personality, right? And I am looking forward to his play matching his attitude. Highly competitive player. He's going to be in the face of the defense all game, and he is going to let his play as word as match up with his word, right? So I really like what I'm seeing from Javon McFadden. Jose Soto and Javon McFadden are going to have a battle all the way leading up to that Georgia Tech game. Watch out for Javon McFadden. I really like this offensive line. And then I had a real battle going on between Taj White and Larry Johnson, but rewatching the spring game, I'm giving Taj White here the slight edge over Larry Johnson, even though Larry Johnson was our starting right tackle in 2025. Taj White has some starts under his belt from his time at Rutgers. And I think based on the spring game and rewatching the tape, I'm giving Taj White the edge here. So looking at our offensive line post spring game, my starters, Leon Bell, Yahya Attia, Demetrius Hunter, Jose Soto, and Taj White. But Brennan Marion, again, talking about the two deep. He said he could roll out that list of ones or some combination of that, but also look at the twos. Bo Hughley, Chauncey Gooden, Sean Kinney, who is a guy whose name does not get mentioned very often, but has tons of production and experience backing up Demetrius Hunter. And then Javon McFadden, I've already talked about him. And then Larry Johnson. Of course, you're now sprinkling guys like Andre Roy with tons of experience as well. And Xavier Payne, another freshman that I've spoken up very, very highly. If he stays with the Colorado Buffaloes, he is going to play himself into the NFL in this system. And that's none other than Xavier Payne. I like him as well as some other highly touted freshmen on this team to really, really be difference makers in 2027 and beyond. All right, so now let's switch it up and we're going to go to the skilled positions starting at wide receiver. I mean, Mr. Playmaker here. Ever since I reviewed his highlight film, I knew he was as advertised, and that's none other than Danny Scudero. You saw him make plays in the spring game. You see him make plays in practices, and he made plays all over the field, particularly explosive plays, which Brennan Marion likes to call. If you remember the spring game, I don't know how many deep balls were targeting Danny Scudero. One of the concerns that I had early on was, man, this wide receiver room is deep. But as you can see from the number of players on IR, depth is really serving them well. Many of these guys are going to be back in time for fall camp. Fingers crossed. But man, Danny Scudero is going to command his touches. There is certainly no way around it. When Danny Scudero's on the field, Brennan Marion is going to get him the ball. Now, here is a guy that's making moves. Quentin Gibson. Quentin Gibson right now is starting for me in the slot, with many of the guys I've already mentioned being out due to injury. Quentin Gibson is making plays and he is making moves, and he is making the case that everything he was touted to be, he actually is, and he's playing up to his potential. What he will need is additional time in the system, and I think he's going to be a very good player this season, contributing to this offense. And now maybe some controversy, right? Didn't see very much from Cam Perry. Not quite sure I could put him on IR yet. But it seemed like he was off to a kind of a moonshot spring, on his way to the moon. And then something must have happened in those last couple of weeks leading up to the spring game, because I really haven't seen much from him. But a guy that I feel is really making moves, and I'll probably here also give him that gold star for making plays, is Quanell Farrakhan. If there is something indeed happening with Cam Perry where we might need to move him to IR, I'm very comfortable moving Quanell Farrakhan up into that starting role. If you guys have some information on that, please put it in the chat so that I can update my depth chart. But man, when I look at the production that is currently on IR, listen, it puts a smile on my face. But now I'm also concerned that maybe the injury bug might be biting us like it did in 2025. So for my guys on IR here, just for visibility, I'm going to go ahead and put them in this pink color here. And look at this production, guys. We have Joseph Williams on IR. He's probably going to be late summer, fall return from all indications. Not quite sure about Hakeem Williams. I'm guessing he's probably in the same category. Now, a slightly different color here I'm implementing is yellow. Guys on IR that I believe might be returning sooner rather than later. Christian Ward, the highly recruited freshman out of IMG, the wide receiver. Cannot wait for him to return and add some height on the outside, right? That's something that we're certainly missing with our two primary outside receivers being Danny Scudero and Cam Perry. Would love to get a Christian Ward back to really get our quarterbacks a jump ball specialist or somebody who is able to make contested catches against bigger corners, which we have tons of on this Colorado Buffaloes team. On the other side of the wide receiver room, you got DeAndre Moore, who I'm going to put in yellow just based on intuition, right? Kind of how he's suiting up and the nature of his injury. I think he was walking around with a boot, never really saw him with crutches. So I'm just making some speculative and inferences about how serious his injury might be and how soon he might be returning. And then Taggart Barton strikes me as somebody who's going to return soon. He was having one heck of a spring before I believe he injured either his shoulder or his elbow. I want to see Taggart Barton on the field, guys. Watch out for number 22, rocking that old Dominic Ponder number. There probably is some significance to him having that 22. Would love to see 22 on the field in 2026. All right. Now let's switch it up and let's take it to the tight ends. We suffered a big injury in the spring game. My understanding is Zach Atkins is currently out and is probably not going to be back until the fall. If you guys have any updates, injury updates, or if I'm off base in the research that I'm presenting here about Zach's injury, please let me know. But I know that he's out, which is why tight end depth right here. And you guys see how much we use the tight ends during the spring game. Love that they picked up Fisher Clement in the transfer portal and love to see how well Corbin Lejeune is coming along in terms of sophomore, redshirt sophomore making plays. And I like Corbin Lejeune here for making moves. Let me go ahead and update that here. All right. Love what I'm seeing from the tight end room, both in blocking and the ability to get downfield and make plays in the pass game. Love that Brennan Marion is actually calling plays that are targeting those guys and those quarterbacks are finding them down the field. Also, I saw during the spring game, Javen Richardson, the Missouri transfer, is currently out on IR as well. So as you guys can see, the IRs are starting to pile up, even the yellows that might be returning soon. And that is a lot of production to not have on the field. So wishing all of those guys a swift recovery. Now let's get down to the backfield, right? I'm loving Damien Henderson right now in terms of a playmaker in the backfield. I'm rooting for Damien Henderson in terms of a guy stepping up to the next level and looking to make a name for himself. He has the size and he shows that he's a patient runner. He's able to find the hole, and when he does, he's an explosive runner as well. And he's going to give defenses a lot of headaches and potentially some CTEs. A guy who is making moves is Micah Welch, my favorite running back on this team. I think he's kind of coming into his own, and I've moved him up from that second string, really paired up with Richard Young. Now have him paired up alongside of Damien Henderson, which would make for a very, very hard to manage backfield for Brennan Marion and Julian Lewis, not only in the run game, but also in the pass game, having Michael Welch. Many people only seem to peg Michael Welch as a runner. He's very good in the pass game, and having both him and Damian Henderson in pass protection, helping your quarterback is going to be very, very important. DeKalen Taylor, I think he was a little bit shaken up in the spring game, but I have him. Yes, he's a running back. I went back and looked at some of his 2025 statistics in terms of carries. They weren't really focused on DeKalen Taylor as the primary guy for carries. I don't know if he's going to be the primary guy or command many of the pure running carries, but he certainly will be involved in the run game. And I have him more of that gadget guy, right? Former slot receiver turned running back, able to play in the backfield, but also give linebackers fits when he's going out in the pass game as well. Richard Young had a decent spring game. Want to see that carry over to every single practice. Bryce Hicks is just showing up and making plays, man. I really liked what he was doing towards the end of spring. And I think it was just an absolute great pickup for this team and for the future of this team, because Bryce Hicks strikes me as a guy who's going to stick around for the long term and really develop into his full potential at running back. Let's switch it over now to the quarterbacks to close this thing out. Juju Lewis uh, looked okay in the spring game. I love the pass that he made to Danny Scudero, but less of the spring game itself, which is a really abbreviated practice, not really showing that much. I love what he was doing toward the end of spring practices, really getting comfortable in this offense, getting the plays into his offense, and completing the passes that were there for him to compete. Some of the things that really stood out to me that I'm sure he on tape he's looking at and working on is being able to hit the deep ball and putting it in the basket when the opportunity was there. I think he missed an opportunity. It might have been with Caleb Mathis. I think he missed a wide open opportunity with Danny Scudero. Opportunities that you just cannot miss when they present themselves on the football field. So Julian Lewis, I feel like, is coming into his own at quarterback. He still has a lot of development to go through, but hey, it's still early. It's good that these things are showing up now on film. It gives them an opportunity to work on these things, but you cannot doubt that he has the skills and he has the potential to really be that QB1 for this team and and really help them achieve the goals that they want to achieve. You saw flashes of that late in 2025 when he did get an opportunity to start, with his best game being against West Virginia. So the potential is there. He showed a little bit on film. He's showing even more in spring practices, but he just needs to clean things up. I believe he's going to have the season that we all are hoping for from him. Isaac Wilson got off to a rocket start to the spring, but it seems like things have kind of evened out. He did, in some cases, miss some opportunities during the spring game, particularly on running the option, keeping the ball when he maybe should have given it, and then he gave up that interception towards the end of the game to Mojo Williams. Maybe a bit of a miscommunication between him and the wide receiver, but the issue with turnovers were an issue for him in 2024 at Utah. I believe he threw one more interception than he threw touchdowns in that particular season. So Isaac Wilson continuing to develop and continue to clean up the issues with turnovers. I think Keneal Sweetwine is squarely in that number 3 spot. I love his ability to run the football when he needs to. I think he's just going to continue to develop as well. Well, there you have it, guys. The full depth chart as I have it, with players who are goal star, meaning you can consistently count on them to make plays, players who are on the move, players who are continuing to improve and move up in their position on the depth chart, and then players who are currently on IR, might be returning in the fall or returning pretty soon. And so I would love to hear your opinions about this depth chart. Let me know who you have starting and where. And I appreciate you guys for joining me on another roster review. Until next time, peace.